Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Cynthia Linox Show. I am your host, Cynthia Linox. I'm glad you're with me here today, 2 p.m. Central Time. You can catch us either on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram. We have a date every Thursday at 2 p.m. Central Time. Last week, we talked about getting out of your comfort zone. This show has to do with living on the bright side of life because if you don't, what are your choices? And for me personally, in order to live on the bright side of life and to stay on the bright side of life, when I think of life and when I think of the purpose of life, so many people go through a lot of head gymnastics trying to figure out what their purpose is in life. What is their purpose? For me, it's simple. I start with a denomination that is pleasure. The purpose of my life is pleasure. I ought to extract pleasure from everything I do. At least that is my goal. Whether it's work, whether it's a relationship, whether it's, with my friends or when I travel, my adventures, everything that I do, the bottom line is pleasure. Even when I give of myself, give of my time, give of my substance, give of my resources to others, there's such an element of pleasure that provokes you to want to do it again and again. As a matter of fact, yesterday I called an old friend, actually an old business friend, and we hadn't spoken for a long time. And come to find out that he is refiring his life because he wants to do something else, and come to find out that he's also a life coach. And when I learned that, I was excited because, I am a transformational life coach and I have learned some things. I've been a transformational life coach for about 7 years and I have learned some things along the way. And he's just gotten his certification. And I was so, I was so happy to be able to share some things with him that I have learned along the way in 7 years so that he would, you know, know the industry and how to better provide service to his clients and so forth. It was just a great chat. So again, when I say pleasure, it's really getting pleasure out of everything that you do. And when you approach your life with that mindset, then you will start thinking of the things that gives you pleasure, and within that you will find your purpose. So whether it's the work you do, whether it's your gifts, talents, skills, anything at all that you possess, that's yours, that belongs to you, and you're going to develop that, think in terms of pleasure, and you will gain clarity as to what you want to do. For me, i I love to encourage people. I love to chat with people. When I look at you, I see the best in you. I can bring out the best in you because that's what I see. I think of myself very highly, and all that has to do with me making that decision. I think very highly of myself. And consequently, when I look at you, I can regard you with the same estimation. I can regard you highly. And nothing really pleases me more than to be able to encourage and motivate and inspire others. So that's my jam, amigos. That's my thing. And so I don't have to look for anything. I just kind of go with the flow. I started as a life coach. Of course, this is after corporate America because I spent many years in corporate America, giving my energy, skills, expertise to an organization. And I had some great years working in that organization. No regrets, none. And when I decide my time was not, I I wasn't feeling the joy of going to work as I did initially. I thought that was kind of dimming a little bit. My lights were dimming a little bit, and I thought, you know what, my time is approaching, and I just need to ready myself. So I went and I got my certification as a life coach, and following that, I am now a certified uh, life coach, and that was going well. And then I met with kimjacobsconsulting.com and uh, went through a training to start my own show. And here I am operating this virtual studio. In the beginning, it was kind of a challenge, but now I think I'm a pro. There's a whole lot of stuff that I want to do, but right now I'm good. And with that, then comes the next phase, and I will share that with you again. But all of that happened because I stepped out of my comfort zone years ago. I needed to. I was living a life that was dull, that was repetitive, that was by default, just going to church and going to work and coming home and just doing the same thing over and over again once in a while. Well, not once in a while. We took a vacation once or twice a year, but it was so dull and needed some gusto. And when I talked about comfort zone last week, I got some feedback from people that said, tell me how to do that because I want out. My life is dull. And most of it, as a matter of fact, somebody said to me, I'm just afraid to make a move because, I'm just afraid. I'm in fear. And I was like, well, what's causing you to fear? Well, I have these beliefs and stuff. And the more we talked, I realized that they're not only limiting belief systems that exist, but they have imposed self-limiting beliefs as well. So it's like double limitations they have imposed on themselves. And it's hard to get out. It's hard for them to get out and live a life that's with gusto. So this person now is living a double life because they really want to be this way, but they are so bound to the indoctrination that they have garnered over the years, received from perhaps childhood. I don't know the details of that, but they have been in this circle for a long time. So their concern is, what will people think? Imagine that. I was listening to a speaker the other day, and they said the critics don't count. The opinions of the critics do not matter. Boy, I took that because the moment you become public, everybody's going to look at you and scrutinize you, and they would have a way to do it better. But most of these critics are on a couch or on their bed watching you. And if you dare to go into the arena, if you dare to go into the ring, if you dare to get up and do something, then you are one step ahead. You're one step ahead of your critics. So you can't allow your life to be guided by what would people say, because people have a right to their own opinions and they have a right to talk. I do it. You know when the news comes on and my husband and I are sitting here, we said, oh, I don't like the way he does the news, and oh, he sounds like a broken record, and we do it. And guess what? Our opinion does not matter. It doesn't matter. That person is going to continue sharing the news, doing the weather, the traffic. It doesn't matter. So when I look at somebody and I say, oh, no, I don't like it, that's okay. So when somebody may say something ill about me or something negative, in most cases, I don't know or don't hear it. And if I do, guess what? I consider the source. And now I'm thinking of what the speaker said, the critics don't matter. So, what are your choices? What are your choices but to discover your true, authentic self and to free yourself from that place of comfort, from that place of make believe security, from that place of being, feeling protected? There's no comfort in that. Comfort comes when you are walking in your true and real, authentic self, where you can be yourself, choose the circle you want, have the friends you desire, work the job that you want. And even if you're not really enamored with the job that you have, but at least, you can make yourself, if that's your source of income, make yourself happy as you do it and as you look for another job or work. You see, you have the ability to live life on your own terms. Yeah, live life on your own terms. Most of us have been so indoctrinated. There's cultural indoctrination, there's social programming, there's religious indoctrination, and we grow up with all these rules to follow. And as you become an adult, you're still following these rules and you don't know why. I said to this person, why do you believe what you believe? Because guess what? I was there. If I followed the doctrine that was taught to me, I would not have married my husband. And I shared that in previous broadcasts. I would not have, because he would not qualify in my circle. I was pretty much a staunch believer, and he was from a different circle, uh, a different doctrine, a little more free, a lot more free and happy. I told you he came happy. I also came happy, but I had all these religious things. And as far as my doctrine, because he was outside of my camp, he would have been considered a person that's unequally yoked with me. So he's not a person that I would have or should have been able to marry, because he was not of my persuasion. He was not in my camp. He was not a born again believer. He was not filled with the Holy Spirit, speaking in tongues. None of that. And until this day, I'm no longer religious, so it's easy for me to talk about it, because after I came to myself, and this is after we were married, because when we were married, my husband came with me, and not came with me. We decided to go to a different church, but it was of my persuasion, and we were fine for many years. We went there, and our lives was so, after a while it became so dull, because it's the same thing. There was no growth, there was no stimulation, there was no motivation, no inspiration. It was the same thing, just packaged differently, Sunday after Sunday after Sunday. And most of it is based on fear. You fear doing this, you fear punishment, you fear judgment. It was just fear driven. So you conducted your life in certain way, and you subjected yourself to certain limitations that uh, they're unreasonable. It was just not living, because you're thinking, you're just always trying to live up to the expectations of the doctrine. And after a while, I think I shared this before. After a while, my husband said, "That's it. That is it. I want none of it." And I thought, oh, okay. Of course, he's reasonable. So he gave me time to, he shared with me what and just pointed out how our life was going. He really wanted something a little more with more gusto, more excitement, more life, more charge, because he knew that our batteries were full of juice and we had a great life to live. And we were not living that. We tried to, we had friends, we went out with friends and we ate and all, but that was it. We wanted to not only, well, yes, we did travel, but we wanted to really live a life with, no shame, no blame, no condemnation, no guilt, no judgment, and all that. And that, in religious circles, that's a lot of it has to do with fear and manipulation. That is just my concept. Now that I have really submitted myself to critical thinking and start asking the questions, why? Why do you believe, Cynthia? Why do you believe the things that you believe? And when I realized certain things I could not even answer because there were no account, no facts, no proven facts, nothing of that. And I thought, well, you know what? And we left. We left church. That was about 14 years ago. And we have been living a great life. This month is our 32nd year anniversary since we've been married. We dated for 2 years, and then we got married 1991, I believe it was. Anyway, we got married, and it's been 32 wonderful years. We live life on our own terms, and so can you. You can too. But you have to make a decision. The thing is, taking responsibility for yourself, knowing who you are, loving yourself, appreciating yourself, knowing who you are and knowing your worth, knowing that you're worthy. A lot of people, as they talk to me, they say, I don't feel worthy. I don't feel worthy. I don't feel that I deserve a great life. I don't feel that I can accomplish this. I don't feel that I can do this. I don't think that I can make this change. I don't think that I can change the way I think. I don't think that I can leave the circle that I grew up in. I don't think that I can change those beliefs. They're all limiting beliefs. But as you change your thinking, the way you think, the way you see yourself, to know that you are worthy. Yes, I know that, in those circles we are taught, at least I know in my circle, that you're unworthy, like that your righteousness, the best that you do is as filthy rags. So you think you can't do anything. And this person proved this to me a couple months ago. I was at this meeting, this network meeting, and there was this lady. She's an author. She just became an author. She wrote this book and she was there promoting her book. The title of the book was so catchy. I thought, wow, I was impressed. Not only was the title catchy, but the cover was beautiful, really nice. And so after she gave her spiel and went up there and gave her spiel and all that and promoted her book, I approached her and I said, this book, I hadn't read the book because this was the first time she's airing it. She's promoting it. I said, the title is so catchy. And the cover, I said, this book, I know it's going to become a #1 bestseller. And the moment I approached her and I said, this book, she did like this. I said, and I was, and the whole conversation, she was doing like this. She said, it's not me. I was just a vessel. It's not me. I was just a vessel. It's not me. They were not my words. They were not. And I just I was just trying to say, wow, this book is going to really help and inspire others, because in marketing the book, she gave a little excerpt. She gave a little synopsis of the content, and it's about her life. And it appears as if she went through some hard times and then shared how she overcame that situation. And since I had not read it, I didn't know what, I just knew what she shared. But it's her story. And she just kept saying this. She wanted to take no credit. She said, I give all the glory. And she just kept doing like that. She says, I do not take credit for this. I do not take credit for any of it. I was just a vessel. And I wanted to ask her, well, who went through the hard times? Who went through that tragic situation? Was it you? I didn't, because I didn't want to be offensive. But I thought, like, she was afraid. She was afraid to take credit, to say, I did that. Now, what's wrong with that? Now, of course, if you're indoctrinated, you're going to think, you may be punished for taking the glory away from God. She would not let me. So I just said, great job, girl. Great job. I wanted to say something like, wow, this is really anyway, but I didn't. I just said, great job. And I just left it. Now, imagine that. I wanted to say, ma'am, you are worthy. Take credit. You had inspiration. You wrote the book. The experience is yours. You went through the tragic experience, all that situation. That's your story. So I don't know what was in her mind, but she was afraid. She said, no, it's not me. It's none of it is me. She made that clear. So I just walked away. You don't have to do that. Once you take responsibility for your life, and that's what we did when we decided we were going to leave all that, because in my mind, I came to the conclusion that it's all religious, social and religious construct. That is my assessment for myself. And once we decided to take responsibility for our lives in all respects, then we forged ahead with three things in mind, three elements: love, kindness, and compassion for people. And we would live life on our own terms. And as long as our freedom does not infringe on the freedom of others, on anyone, then we choose to do whatever we want to do. And for 14 years now, we have been living that lifestyle. And it's been great. It's been great. You know why? Because you can set your life up to be an all-inclusive type thing. Embrace people of all nations, all races, all cultures, all backgrounds, and really listen to their story. When we travel, I shared earlier in a previous broadcast that we have traveled extensively. We have traveled all over the world. And when you sit with people, of course, everybody or every nation has their own thing, their own cultures and stuff like that. Well, you oblige, when you go to another place, you find out what's how the culture is, and you try to live, well, oblige to be respectful. That's just what you do. You want to be respectful when you are traveling overseas. But if you're here in the West, in America, then you oblige and you have certain freedoms to do whatever. We don't have to wear any coverings, and we don't have to dress any particular way by, rule, by religious rule. We can dress however we want. But you open yourself, and then you diversify your circle. You bring everybody in. It doesn't matter what they think, what they believe, who they love. It doesn't matter. They are people that we can love without judgment. And that's the life that we have chosen to live, to embrace people of all walks and see them as precious humans and not judge them. We don't know their lives, what they have been through. So why judge? Why judge based on your religious criteria? No, you don't want to be judged. And for us, we don't really care who sees us as irreligious or non-church goers. That to us is irrelevant. As far as I'm concerned, I don't need to go to church. And that's just me. If If that makes you feel good, then you need to do that. You need to do what works for you, but it has to work. The bottom line is whether you submit to religious doctrine or anything else, it has to work for you. It has to bring joy. I mean real joy and contentment and pleasure in whatever it is you do. You can't live in fear. There is no pleasure in fear. No. No, there's no pleasure in fear. You have to really begin to think critically and ask questions and discover what works. There was a time that I had to do a whole journey of self-discovery and go back to my original setting to find out, well, who am I really? Because I, just like everyone else, by the time you're 5 years old, you are labeled, you are guided, indoctrinated, programmed, conditioned, by leaders, your parents, teachers. That's just the way it is. It's not a matter of good or bad, right or wrong. That's just the way it happens. But now that you are an adult, you need to reassess your whole software system, the whole programming. And if life is not working for you, you need to change that. And how do you get confidence to do that? You have to really address the situation head on. I remember talking about confidence when I was back home, and I was in I don't remember what grade, but there was Beverly, and Beverly was the bully of the school. We were in St. Joseph's School, a Catholic school, and she was such a bully. Everybody was afraid of her because, Beverly was she was a bully. She had a good punch. She was tall, slim, and she could really, give you a good punch. And now she never used to bother me a whole lot simply because I don't know why. She just never, but I kept to myself because I was also afraid of her. And I didn't want her to bother me. The only thing she used to say about me is because my dad at the time, he owned a uh, dry cleaning establishment. So our uniforms, my uniform was always crisp, and I mean every day. My skirts, we had, it was like, I think it was a blue pleated skirt, and the pleats, they were all nicely pressed, and my blouse was nicely starched, and I showed up to school looking just crisp. So she would uh what she would do is, like, if she's eating a candy, she would, like, and do this, and sometimes soil my blouse. And I didn't know how to get her to stop doing that. I was afraid. I didn't have the confidence. And she carried on for time and time, and she just kept doing that. And one day I had my enough overflowed. I had it no more. So she did it, and I said, you know what? Es la última vez que usted va a hacer eso conmigo. Spanish. This is the last time you will do that to me. And she's like, oh, you threatening me? I said, yes. And she says, okay, let's see what you want to do. I said, meet me tomorrow on the rooftop at the Wilcox building after class. Ah, I was so afraid. He's like, Cynthia, what did you do? What did you say? What are you going to do? So there were some people that, some of the students were on my side because they in their minds, they knew that Beverly would just kick my butt. They just knew that she was just good to knock you out. And then there were some that were her allies. So I went home that night, and we were supposed to meet after class upstairs, the rooftop Wilcox building, and we were going to duke it out. We were going to fight. Yeah, imagine that. So oh gosh, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep because, first of all, I didn't want her to give me a black eye or bust my mouth or knock out my teeth. I just start thinking all these things that could happen. Come to find out, she was also shaking in her boot because no one had ever challenged her. No one had ever, challenged her, threatened her, and she was shocked that I had the nerve to challenge her. So she didn't know what I knew. She didn't know, she had no idea. So she was also shaking in her boot. Comes 3 o'clock in the afternoon, class is dismissed, and here there were like five girls, and she had, I don't know how many, perhaps more, two or three more. And we went up to the Wilcox building. I unbuttoned my shirt, my blouse, and just really took off my whatever, my watch, and oh gosh, we started we started a fist fight. Now I laugh because it seems funny, but this is a true story. This is my story. 3 o'clock upstairs in the Wilcox building, the rooftop of the Wilcox building. You get out, and this is a building. You don't even live there. Nobody lives there, but we know that you could go up to the rooftop, and you go up, you walk up to the rooftop, and you close the door because if somebody sees you up there or whatever. And we started fighting, and I gave her a whooping. I mean, I don't think I'm the one that just beat her up. She gave me a good punch as well. She gave me a few good punch, but I just went crazy because, comes a point in your life where you say enough is enough, and you just want to you are just done with it. You are done with it. You're not mad. You're not vexed. You're not angry. You are just done. And when you come to that point, at least me, when I come to that point, I am done. I am done with you. I am done. So we duked it out, and I was just after her like a crazy, and she's trying to hit, and I am hit him. It was just crazy. And then she said, "Okay, I think it's enough. Basta, basta, yeah, yeah, yeah." That means basta, enough. Yeah, she said basta. So she stopped it. She stopped it. Guess what that did for me? Guess what that did for me? It boosts my confidence. And all my five little friends over here, they were like, yeah, yeah, bowling, Cynthia. See, and they were, look, I am telling you, now that I think back, when I have a challenge, it's like you kind of like go after it. You face it head on, and you start believing in yourself that you can. I did. I mean, I was like, man, and I can't really say that I beat her up. I would love to have said that, or that it would have finished, would have been, ended like that, but I can't say that. All I can say is that she said, ya basta. Ya basta means it's enough. Like it's enough. And I was happy to oblige the moment she said that. She stood over there and, all kind of this basta, basta. And I was like, yeah, it was crazy. I remember that so well because it was so significant. And it's not until like later in life you start realizing, wait a minute, that built confidence because I was so afraid before. I was afraid of her. Just like everyone else, she was the bully. You know how it is when there's a bully in the school. Of course, today is different. You don't challenge people like that, but back then it was totally different. And I built confidence, and ever since, ever since, whenever I have a situation that's a challenge, or I think I can't do it, I may pause a little bit and go through a little reassessment and perhaps a little downtime and just try to reassess and figure things out and try to work it out and come up with answers, because once I set my mind to it, and we all have that ability to really think things through. And I always think, number one, remember the story with my dad, that I deserve a great life, that I deserve the best, that I deserve to have, the respect of everyone, and that I am worthy, and so forth. And with Beverly, I thought, man, in my mind, it's like you at least I put a stop to her bothering me. I accomplished my objective. Why? Because I faced the challenge head on. And so can you. Whatever challenge it is that you have, you face it head on. Absolutely. Because you can. It's in you. Once you know that you're worthy, and once you know who you are, and you get rid of all the fears and the insecurities and the negativity and the self-doubt and the not believing in yourself, you get rid of all of that, and you know that you can forge ahead to accomplish the things that you wish to accomplish. And all the noise on the outside, everybody telling you can't do this, you can't do that, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. If you have submitted yourself to believe those things, then it's time to reassess. You need to return to factory settings and know the truth of you and begin to live by that truth. I live by the truth I know about me. No fear, none. And I'm so glad that my husband and I, we can walk that road together in unison, simultaneously. We walk that road together with the same thought process. We love people, we show kindness and compassion. But our lives is designed for pleasure. And whatever it is that we choose to do, we think pleasure. Yeah. I know, sounds a little different, but it all starts from pleasure. Even the experience of grieving. I remember when my mom passed away years ago. I remember we were at the funeral, and my cousins, I heard one said, oh, she's going to break down now. She's going to break down, meaning me, because my mom and I were so close. And what I did, really, I just started reminiscing all the wonderful, amazing memories that we created. I am one that I love to take pictures. I love to take pictures. I take pictures of all of my life experiences. And I just really took myself to the places my mom and I had been, the moments that we shared together, and how much pleasure we had just being together. Really, how much pleasure we had just being together and sharing that experience. I remember we went on a cruise, my first cruise, my mom's like fifth cruise, and Noel, my husband, before he met me, he had been on a cruise. And we decided to go on a cruise, my husband and I. And I said, Mom, I said, guess what? Why don't you join us? And she's like, yeah. So she booked her cruise from New York to San Juan, Puerto Rico. We booked from Dallas to Puerto Rico, and we met there. We had an amazing time. So there were so many beautiful memories I had of my mom. And because I know that we all have an expiration date, we all are going to die someday, pass out. We're going to just not exist at some point, all of us. So that's a reality of life. So until this day, do you know that I have not cried? And my mom has been gone for over 20 years, and I have not cried. Yes, I have missed her, because, I used to call my mom Corazón de Melón, and that's like, oh, my melon heart. It doesn't rhyme in English, but in Spanish it's like corazón de melón. And every time I call her, we would be laughing on the phone, and just, we would just answer the phone. She would just answer the phone laughing because she knew it was me. And that would be like 2 or 3 times a day, and we just chatted. So there was so many memories, so many great pleasurable memories that brought me joy. And then we had another incident with my husband's brother when he died. I think I shared this before, but again, it's my story and it just blends in because, here we are. I said to my husband, on this birthday, I want to wake up in Spain. I want to wake up in Madrid. And we planned everything. We had it all set up, everything. And then my brother-in-law became ill and he died the month before. So we canceled everything, and we went to Costa Rica. That's where my husband is from. We went there and we spent time with the family, and my husband and his brother, they were very close. So it was we canceled my birthday in Madrid and so forth. So we came back. It was like a month before July. And after I got to thinking, and I said, you know what? I said, and I had a conversation with my husband. I said, he's gone, never to come back. We are alive. We are here and we are alive. So we need to continue to celebrate life. And we can celebrate his, him as well, his life. But because we know that he would have been happy to see us travel there and come back and share and so forth. That's the kind of dynamics we had. And so I said to my husband, you know what? I think we need to rebook everything, airplane tickets and Madrid and the hotel and so forth. And he said, yes, let's go. And we went. We went. We went. So my point is, we had the confidence to do that. We went and I had a great, I woke up in Madrid for my birthday. We went to Toledo, that's another city. And we just had the greatest time in Madrid. I think it was our first visit to Madrid. Right. We had been to Barcelona and, a couple times, but this was our first visit to Madrid. And even in the midst of grief, you can make decisions that brings you pleasure, decisions and just navigate your life on your own terms so that you can continuously live on the bright side of life. I'm telling you, that's what life is all about. The way you look at it, the way you see it, because everybody has challenges. We all have situations that come up and unexpected expenses, unexpected situations. We all have that, but we don't have to focus on that. And if we do, the focus should be the solution. Really, it should be on, okay, how can we get rid of this situation? How can we resolve this situation? Yeah. You have the ability to live life on your own terms. You can get out of that box, that limited thinking, limited belief system, and think up whatever it is, because I can assure you, all of us, the fundamental desire of every human is to be happy. I want to be happy. You want to be happy. And if you have a family, you want to bring happiness to your family. We all want that. We all want that. And you have the ability to have the confidence to start making that happen in your life. Making it happen. Absolutely. Making it happen. Don't wait another minute. If it's your job, if it's your career, if you need an increase in whatever area that you have that need, whether it's you need to increase your finances, you have to know that you can do it. You can do it. You have what it takes. You have the the energy, you have the ability to think, just pause for a second and get rid of all the negative thoughts and imposed belief and limitations. Don't let anyone tell you who you are. And if you have not assessed your life, then you are living your life by default. You're living your life by what they told you you are. And you don't have to live that way anymore. Absolutely not. You don't have to live based on social conditioning, cultural programming, religious indoctrination. You can reassess that whole thing and discover what works for you and know why you believe what you believe. And once you have settled that in your mind, once you have learned your truth, then you begin to live by your truth. And your life will be totally, 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 completely uh, redesigned, refreshed, just adding life to your life. I hope you would really take this to heart. If it resonates with you, then do it for you. And if you have a family, let them see this other side of you and bring them up because you are well able to do that. This has been a great chat. I go back and I listen to myself. There was a time that, believe me, there was a time that I could not go back and watch a video because we are our worst critics, and I had to overcome that. I'm like, you know what? I had to, get myself in check. But now I go back and I listen, and it's encouragement for myself. It keeps me on track. It does. It inspires me. It just, it's just, I'm so inspired by myself. Yeah. So, anyway, we have a date next Thursday, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can tune in either on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram to the Cynthia Linox Show, Living on the Bright Side of Life. I will see you next week. And in the meantime, I say ciao. Have a great week and great weekend. And I'll see you then.